I'm Glenn Ford, and welcome to the third seminar in LearningCreator.com's seminar series on how to select a writing system. Now, in the first seminar, we talked about why you want a writing system at all, which is basically so you can finish what you're doing and have it sell. Second, we talked about what you need in the way of systems as far as your writing goes, so you know whether you're looking at a time-based or whether you're looking at fact-based, whether you're looking complex, or whether you're looking at fairly simple writing. Now, today, we're going to talk about the actual systems that are out there, and we're going to give you a bit of a framework to understand and to place them in their capabilities matrix. Okay, let's get started then. First thing we're going to look at is whether or not the system is structured or unstructured. Now, a structured system will actually output the final structure that you're going to write in terms of. So if you're writing, for example, a book, it will give you the structure of the book. And unstructured, of course, you have to provide the information in an organized way. So you have to provide the organization to it. Whereas in a structured, the system itself provides the organization. The next area that we're going to look at is whether or not it's cognitive based or non-cognitive based. You can think of cognitive and non-cognitive as the mental equivalent of ergonomics. So an cognitive being equivalent of an ergonomic tool, and non-cognitive being a non-ergonomic tool. Think of it as for example, a hammer, which is an ergonomic tool. It helps the hand drive a nail. It keeps the nail straight. It drives it without damaging the wood. It drives it without damaging the fingers, and it provides some extra strength to the hammer. Whereas a stone, which is a non-ergonomic tool, still drives a nail, but you're more likely to break your fingers, you're more likely to damage the nail, and you're more likely to damage the wood. Plus, there's no leverage applied. And essentially that's what we're doing, but we're doing with mental tools or not. So either the tool works and it does what it's supposed to do, or it actually uses the mind to draw out and therefore causes it to work much better. And that's the framework that we're going to use. Now, the first thing we're going to deal with, or the first systems that we're going to talk about, really are what are called speed writing. Now, speed writing is a journalistic type of tool. It sits in the unstructured, non-cognitive based area. And the basic idea of that tool is that you put down 3, 5, 7, whatever number of words describing what you're going to write about. Then you sit there and for 5 minutes roughly, sometimes 15, sometimes 2, it varies, you will type, and you'll just sit there and you'll type the words, and you will not edit it, you won't do anything. At the end of the time limit, you stop, and what you've got is what you've got. It's designed for a journalist, and journalists do very small writing articles, newspaper articles, right? So they generate lots and lots and lots of writing, but it's all very tiny. It all follows a very firm standard structure. So the tool that they use is focused on getting words onto paper, not focused on creating any structure to it, because they can do that themselves. The next system that we're going to look up at is in this area, and that's the one that we normally are familiar with from school. It's an outline system. It's not cognitive based. It's not using the mind's own capabilities, but it does provide structure, because when you finish, you've got the structure of your tool. And there's several different versions of it, but they all basically end up with, I've got an outline. The next tool is in the cognitive area, and they're unstructured cognitives. That's up in this area here. Now, typically, you're talking about things like brainstorming, mind mapping, and that sort of thing. The concept is basically to get the ideas out of the mind onto a piece of paper where they can be looked at, and then you can deal with them later. Now the trick in this, with both of these here, is in order to create a full system, you need to match it, and you need to match it with something from the structured side. Because these are non-structured, they really aren't helping you to do a book, for example. Anything which is complex, they simply don't really help you do. So you usually have to match it with something. Typically, it's matched with the school's version, the outlining system. So you'll get a system that will consist of speed writing and schooling, or if it's a little bit better, it'll be mind mapping and schooling. Okay? But there's another alternative. And that alternative's the one up here, which is a cognitive-based structured system, or structured mind mapping is a more common term of it. That's the one that learning creators use. Now there's a trick here. Because it is heavily structured, okay? Unlike an outline where there is a structure coming out of it, but you're putting the structure in. You're determining what the structure will be. This one, the system is actually picking on the structure, and the tool itself is designed to force you to have a structured output when you finish. So, as a result, because there are two basic types of structures, there's fact-based and time-based, as we mentioned before, you have to pick a system up here which matches the type of writing you're going to do, if it's time-based or fact-based. If you pick up a fact-based and you're trying to write fiction, it won't work. If you pick up a time-based and you're trying to write how-to books, it won't work. So you've got to match there. And that's basically the difference between the systems. If I come down here, because it's unstructured, it's not really helping you a lot, but it solves a single problem. Up here it solves the whole deal, but equally it's matched to what you're requiring. If I go into this area here, then I'm sort of crossing in between on both of these. I'm getting some system out in here. I'm not attacking a single problem, I'm attacking a number of problems, but I'm still not providing structure. So this is the system area that we believe you end up in any case, because as you determine what type of writing you're going to do, this is where you want to be, because you want the system to generate most of the work for you and leave you with just the writing portion of it. That's a good framework for determining what the actual capabilities of a system are. Once you've identified where in the coordinates a system sits, you know whether it will produce a full system for you, partial system, whether it's mixing, matching, and the bits and pieces of it. So we hope you've enjoyed it and that you've learned a lot. Next one, we will actually talk about how we match between your needs and what the system will provide, and then select a system that is best for yourself. Hope you've enjoyed today. I'm Glenn Ford. Learn and earn.